And here we have the Bos taurus of the bovine family, commonly known as cattle or cow. Domesticated since the early Neolithic period, cattle are often found in herds grazing on the grasses of large tracts of rangeland. Raised as livestock for meat, dairy products and leather, or as draft animals, they occupy a unique role in human history. They are also responsible for at least 18% of the world's greenhouse gases.
My focus is a niche focus. When I go downstairs, I'm going to be talking about food. People think, what's food got to do with climate? Well, this is the big elephant in the room that nobody's talking about. When people think of how we mitigate climate change, they initially think of, coal-fired power plants and tailpipe emissions. Okay, you're good. There's a missing middle, because greater than the entire transportation sector of the entire world is animal agriculture. We can just change what we eat. Just eat less meat and dairy, and your carbon footprint drops way down. So I eat 100% plant-based. I'm not asking people to do that, but since I do, my water footprint is about half of, let's say, somebody who eats a standard American diet. My carbon footprint is about a third, and so I feel, not only is it making me healthier, but I feel I'm contributing to a healthier planet.
Or you can choose a hamburger served fresh, hot off the grill.
Well, hello there, kiddies. It's your friendly neighborhood watchman with you again. And today I'm here to talk about James Cameron, a former favorite director of mine, 1984 with The Terminator. And now he's a woke saint, a loyal supporter of Hollywood leftist agenda. So I'm going to read along with you this article from our friends at Bounding Into Comics. So, without further delay, let's jump right into this. Avatar: The Way of Water director James Cameron recently admitted he supports the mass murder and depopulation agenda of Marvel Studios' fictional character Thanos. In Avengers: Infinity War, Gamora explains Thanos' outlook on life, saying, "The entire time I knew Thanos, he only ever had one goal: to bring balance to the universe by wiping out half of all life. He used to kill people planet by planet, massacre by massacre." Later in the film, Thanos further explains his worldview to Gamora, while discussing his culling of her home planet. When Gamora asserts she was happy on her home planet as a child, Thanos countered, "Going to bed hungry, scrounging for scraps? Your planet was on the brink of collapse. I'm the one who stopped that." He continued, "Do you know what's happened since then? The children born have known nothing but full bellies and clear skies. It's a paradise." Gamora retorts, "Because you murdered half the planet." Thanos counters, "A small price to pay for salvation." He goes on to explain, "Little one, it's a simple calculus. This universe is finite. Its resources finite. If life is unchecked, life will cease to exist. It needs correction." When Gamora says Thanos doesn't actually know this, he responds, "I'm the only one who knows that. At least, I'm the only one with the will to act on it. For a time, you had that same will as you fought by my side, daughter." Speaking with time, Cameron fully endorsed this evil worldview and ideology, telling the outlet, "I can relate to Thanos." "I bet you can. I thought he had a pretty viable answer. The problem is nobody's going to put up their hand to volunteer to be the half that has to go." "Oh, I'm sure you'll be the first to raise your hand, right, James? Valiantly sacrificing yourself." This kind of reminds me of those mysterious stone monuments in Georgia, referred to as the Georgia Guidestones. Mysterious because no one, at least publicly, knows who financed it. Satanic influence, the New World Order, the Illuminati, the global elite. Basically, people like Bill Gates. In Infinity War, during a flashback sequence, Thanos' shock troops forcibly separate the Cyhobarans into two sides. One of the sides is then brutally gunned down by Thanos' forces. Later in the film, Thanos takes it upon himself to obtain a fully powered Infinity Gauntlet and snaps his fingers in order to wipe out half of all life in the universe. Cameron's comments to Time came during a discussion about the production on Avatar The Way of Water, switching to catered vegan food so they wouldn't be seen as hypocritical when lecturing oil companies. Cameron explained, we couldn't lecture oil companies and turn around and eat hamburgers. Yeah, whatever, dweeb. Yeah, you shouldn't be lecturing anyone. A movie theater isn't a place where people go to be lectured. At least it never was traditionally.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
In order to enact the decision to switch to vegan food, Cameron appeared to shroud his dictatorial decision via a council circle. Cameron relayed, we all sat down together in a council circle. I said, this is what I want to do. If everyone wants to start screaming and throwing stuff at me, maybe we won't do it. But if people grudgingly nod, then we're going ahead. And of course, there were plenty of people that did not want to, but they nodded. Because Cameron is the director of the damn movie. According to Time, no one objected, at least not outwardly. And the council grudgingly nodded. What a joke. Cameron's comments and his clear pushing of this evil is indeed just that. It is evil. Killing billions of people in order to, quote, save the planet, unquote, is evil and wrong. The Catechism of the Catholic Church, quoting St. Thomas Aquinas, teaches, an evil action cannot be justified by reference to a good intention. The end does not justify the means, unquote. It further notes, quote, there are concrete acts that it is always wrong to choose, because their choice entails a disorder of the will. In essence, a moral evil. One may not do evil so that good may result from it, end quote. St. Paul also addresses this philosophy in Romans chapter 3, verse 8, writing, and why not say, as we are accused, and as some claim we say, that we should do evil, that good may come of it. Their penalty is what they deserve, end quote. Cameron's comments come after he claimed in an interview with Esquire, Middle East, that he's sickened by what happened with guns in our culture. He stated, I look back on some films that I've made, and I don't know if I would want to make that film now. I don't know if I want to fetishize the gun like I did on a couple of Terminator movies 30 plus years ago in our current world. What's happening with guns in our society turns my stomach.
Let's rock!
The hypocrite continued. I'm happy to be living in New Zealand, where they just banned all assault rifles 2 weeks ago after that horrific mosque shooting a couple of years ago. To this end, Cameron claimed he cut around 10 minutes of footage featuring gunplay from Avatar, The Way of Water. No offense to New Zealand. New Zealand is New Zealand, a lovely country, and America is America. Our history is different. Guns played a vital role in our liberation from the British. Our independence could not have been won without them. And we have our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. So Cameron doesn't like it. He can, as he's done, chose to live somewhere else. But I digress. Cameron relayed, I actually cut about 10 minutes of the movie targeting gunplay action. I wanted to get rid of some of the ugliness, to find a balance between light and dark. You have to have conflict, of course. Violence and action are the same thing, depending on how you look at it. This is the dilemma of every action filmmaker, and I'm known as an action filmmaker. What do you make of James Cameron's comments? Well, he won't be known as an action filmmaker for long. So, as per usual, when we have the time, we'll read some comments. Bunny with a keyboard. I don't agree with what James Cameron has to say, but I vehemently agree that he has the right to say this. I'd much rather that the people who believe such things say so out loud so that we can recognize them on sight. I agree. BWAK. Thumbs up for you. Rotka. Am I missing something? What's the relationship between oil companies and eating hamburgers? Seems he's parroting the party's dogma, as many of those statements are contradictory. Look at cow farts, dude. You gotta follow the methane. Damn, it's so obvious. Moving on, Scott Graves says, good point. Now we know he clearly is a sociopath and wants half of us to die, but not by gunfire for some reason. Hey, that's right. That's what makes him a saint. How are we to reduce numbers so drastically with knives and baseball bats? No, with disease, with a viral infections, pathogens. African nations use machetes to kill people, but you can't get 50% deportation numbers with machetes. Ooh, Scott going all Friday the 13th on us. Who Goes There says, if James Cameron has weighed the pros and cons of mass elimination, you can be certain he's just repeating what other elites have debated and concluded. Hello, like Bill Gates? Ever get the feeling there's a hidden cabal running its agenda in the background? Guest Best says, a good example of the insanity and moral decline of Hollywood. Hell, of society in general. Sadly, that type of idea is going mainstream, thanks to the entertainment and media complex pushing their evil on the world. I couldn't agree with you more. Tom in Arizona, decline? Now they're just admitting it. They've always been like this. I don't doubt you, Tom. And you get a like. Gorilla Man comments, issues of morality aside, Thanos' snap would ultimately have made no difference. Population levels aren't static. A century later, there'd be just as many people as before the snap. Bunny replies to Gorilla Man, doubly so when you have single mothers effectively getting paid by the state to have children. Pat Gray C says, that's why in the comics, it made more sense for it to be his present to death. Those who aren't comic book readers, the present, meaning a gift, Thanos offered it as a gift to the personification of death, which is in the form of a woman, and which Thanos is in love with. So he seeks to win her love and adoration by performing such an act. Moving along, Eric Travis says, perhaps I'm missing the connection between lecturing oil companies and eating hamburgers, but then I'm not a card-carrying, Kool-Aid drinking member of the anti-human cult. Oh, snap. Well, start with yourself then, buddy, which is just what I said. Come on, show some dedication to your principles. Oh, yeah. I agree. Take one for the team. Guest 87 says, even the alien universe is more optimistic than what we see him talking about now. Men build starships and terraform other planets to live on. And the ubiquitous Bunny with a Keyboard replies, it's hard to believe any sort of optimistic future when we see what the woke actually plan. Ain't that the truth? Immortal Fish opines, how sad is it when a master storyteller misses the point of a story? The Infinity Gauntlet was no doubt a very pro-life story that underscored how no one has the right to choose who lives and who dies on such a scale. Congrats for aspiring to be a dictator, Cameron. Tom in Arizona again replies, you could only have mistaken Cameron for a master storyteller if you never actually listened to a single sentence of the dialogue in his movies. He's always been like this. He never hit it. People just didn't pay attention. Glock EDC says, why you should never relinquish your Second Amendment right. People of his ilk thinking this is a good idea. Raider 68 posts, quote, I can relate to Thanos. I thought he had a pretty viable answer. The problem is nobody will put up their hand to volunteer to be the half that has to go. Instead, we got them to roll up a sleeve to take an experimental drug sold as a vaccine. End quote. Fix it for you, Jane, come on. You get a like. Last but not least, James Rhodes replies, which is why they were so upset with those who said no to the jab. That's right, and you get a like. So friends, there you have it. Again, we agree. These, said in my last video, these woke fools think they're noble and they know better than us plebes. And the more money you have, the more virtuous you are. The more knowledge you have over the rest of us. The loftier your pedestal, so to speak. So friends, if you've been following me, you know what I think of these woke Hollywood elites. Let me know if you agree with me and comment below on this article as we reach the end on another video. So hit that like button, smash that like button, and save a hamburger.
Where's the beef?
Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so that you always be forewarned whenever I drop another video. And as always, stay safe and I bid you peace.
And why should the people listen to you?
Because, unlike some other Robin Hoods,
I, for one, would rather die than to spend my life in hiding.
I can speak with an English accent.
Tell you the truth, this guy's starting to get on my nerves.